Welcome to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where we feature top bakery and specialty food entrepreneurs from around the world and share stories and tips on how to create a successful life in the baking world.
Hi, I'm Odette Danello, the host of Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where I interview bakery owners, especially women, to hear how they live fun lives and talk about their adventure of running a bakery business. I want to encourage you to go back and check out our podcast with other bakery women entrepreneurs, including the owners of Blue Star Donuts, Pie Bar, Pierogi, Freeport Bakery, Lady Yum, and Bronwyn Cakes, among others. Today's episode is brought to you by Celebrity Gourmet Ventures, Inc., Celebrity Cake Studio, and Dragonfly Cakes, a family-owned and operated specialty bakery in Tacoma, Washington. At Celebrity Gourmet, we have been baking joy into all of our artistically designed cakes and desserts for 25 years. We are proud to work with a vibrant team of cake designers and bakers who help you celebrate the sweet moments in your lives. To learn more about how you can celebrate yourselves and the ones you love, visit celebritycakestudio.com and dragonflycakes.com or email us at info@celebritycakestudio.com. Before starting our chit chat with Becky, I would like to thank the Retail Bakers of America because that is how we met, walking the IBIE show, which means International Baker Industry Expo. Did I get that correct?
Sounds like it would make sense.
Beth and I were speakers at that event. And of course, Becky and I became friends because I run my business with my sister, Marianne. So there was a bit of, camaraderie there. It's two sisters running a bakery together.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome, Becky.
Thank you, Odette. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So I wanted to just maybe give our listener a history of your business.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So Creative Cakes, as a bakery, a specialty bakery, has been in business since 1989, and it was run by a husband and wife that hired me back in 1992. 92. And then I worked, it was just the three of us for 10 solid years. The cake industry was just starting to get a little more popular. But it wasn't really until the early 2000s that I think we really saw, with cake shows and everything, the big boom.
It was the cake shows for sure. Yeah.
It was definitely. Thanks, Bronwyn. And
exactly.
But the industry that my sister and her husband were in, the film industry, kind of took a little bit of a lag due to 9/11. And they just wanted to move back to the Midwest. They didn't want to be in California anymore. So she had business sense, and she, had been doing books for a furniture store, and had taken some accounting classes and stuff like that. So as a small, really 2-employee business, that's really all we needed. So she took over, moved her family out here, took over in 2002. We pretty much just got a website and took credit cards. And there was the whole cake boom all starting. So there was a very rapid growth that happened at that point. We all had, kids that were like 6 and under at the same time too. So that made it even more interesting. We moved from the 1,350 square feet that we had in a small strip mall to what we thought was huge, 2,000 or 3,000 square foot space. And then in 2015, we opened up a cafe and doubled our space. So we had,
I remember that.
Yeah. So we had 6,000 square feet. So it was quite the wild ride. It was very hard, not hard. Yeah, it was hard just with the growth. I mean, we were like, training people is the hardest part. And we were trying to grow and train people, basically doubling our staff at least. We're still holding steady at about 20-ish employees, maybe 22, low 20. It depends on if you count part-time or not. But at one point we were at 32 or so when we had the cafe.
Right.
So that was pretty interesting. Luckily, we decided to close that in 2018, late 2018. And I'm so glad we did before the pandemic, because there's no way we could have navigated that the whole time. And the main reason is it was making us money enough, but not enough for the stress level it was causing me. So we just kind of closed it up and concentrated on what we're known for, which is the cakes. So,
Well, your sister, so the way the business was run is that, and it's important for our listeners to know, is that Beth was like more the visionary of the business.
yes.
She basically pointed the ship and you steered, like you went and executed, which is
Yes, I
which
wrote
in
a lot.
EOS, and ironically, she is now an Beth is now an EOS implementer. So Beth is the visionary,
Mhm.
and Becky is the uh,
I wasn't even up on the tier levels. I'm more of
really.
a person, honestly. I'm a people person. So
So what was your seat?
I
So
had
an
a couple.
integrator, so the integrator role is usually in EOS is the person who runs all the operations, the ship. So,
Yes,
and then under the integrator, you have all the other positions.
right.
So how did that, when you instituted EOS onto, because I know that Beth had explored all other kinds of processes to run this bakery
Mhm.
because it was growing so quickly.
Right. Yeah,
And
we did do quite a different amount of um, business plans and helps that, like Vistage and EOS were the ones that really stuck. And EOS definitely helped us, have better meetings and have our quarterly conversations with our employees and just have much better communication throughout that. Yeah, Beth was definitely the visionary. Fran was our integrator. So she was the one that kind of like, went between all business. I was basically production manager
oh, okay.
through the biggest chunk of that. Yeah, because I was a decorator. I was a line cook. I was like doing everything that had to do. I was doing ordering. It was a lot. And like I said, too much. And I was basically like filling in the gaps whenever like a key person wasn't there.
Right,
Uh, I then shifted. I mean, because I've been every single position in that bakery
right.
throughout the years, so I can get plugged in anywhere. But where I'm at right now is basically the wedding specialist. So I do all the wedding consultations, and I also handle a majority of the wholesale. So that is my seat right now. And Fran is still the integrator. She wears a lot of hats. I don't know where I'd be without Fran, honestly. She basically slid into, Beth's place, not necessarily as a visionary, because we're kind of in a holding pattern right now
Right.
for having, what's the next step. It's almost like, okay, how are we going to wind out of this more than anything? Then like, how are we going to grow it more? Because I've seen all the different variations and I'm really happy with where it's at right now. I don't
Right.
necessarily want to grow it. We closed down the location that we had, which was just office space out in Naperville, because we had so many accounts in the western suburbs. We were trying to make it convenient for couples. And then with the pandemic, we discovered this Zoom and realized that it really isn't necessary to meet people in person. It can easily be done this way. So saved us some money that way and stress and, trying to staff people out there. I mean, there was so much to it that I'm so glad we're not doing cafe in Naperville. Like, bye.
Hey, oh my gosh. So I remember visiting your bakery in Tinley Park, and everything was there were processes for everything. And I
Mhm.
learned a lot about how you price your cakes, how you took orders, all of that. There was a book that Beth gave away, you
Yep.
guys gave away to all participants, and it was like this training manual on how to run a cake business, which I
Mhm.
thought, well, we got, I mean, we instituted a bunch of that. Um, is amazing. And I think our business as a creative, it is really challenging in that you manage artists.
Mhm. Mhm.
So how do you do that? Like, how do you manage artists?
We are very fortunate that we don't have divas. Thank God. I mean, we've got people who, we all get moody, right? And then, the last minute customers drive us all up a wall. But all in all, it's a team effort, and we all know what we're doing it for. We have conversations at the beginning of every week, and especially this time of year, like throughout the week, like, okay, where are we at numbers wise? What can we take on? How many wedding cakes do we have? How many tiered cakes? Like, we kind of like group stuff together. We evaluate, and we'll shut it down if we are at a point where we know that we're either going to sacrifice, a customer's, order because we took too much on,
Yeah.
or we're going to go insane, and it's so we've definitely managed that a lot better. Yeah. Could we bring in a few thousand extra dollars? Sometimes, yeah. But is it worth it? In my opinion, no, not anymore. It's just not. As long
What
as there are bills.
what brought you to switch modes? Because I know that when I first met you guys, it was like grow, 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 grow. We had, we were part of RBA, and then we were touring a bunch of bakeries that were expanding rapidly. I remember touring Porto's Bakery and their 50
Right.
foot
Oh, God.
facility. Oh my God.
Oh, holy cow. Yeah. That I don't know. We did Zingerman's. I don't know if you guys have heard of Zingerman's,
Yes.
but Ari Weissman, who's fantastic. I just remember him saying, because they grew at a rapid rate too, the bigger the business, the bigger the problems. And
Yeah.
that's right. And like I said, when I was in my 30s, yeah, bring it. Let's tackle this. We can handle this. Now that I'm in my 50s, I don't really need that stress level. I'm not looking for my ego to be stroked and to be like, hey, I saw you on TV, or I saw, I don't need that. I'm, like I said, we're all at a point where and our production manager, Ashley, today is her 17th year anniversary, and she's a lifer. She's not going anywhere. So we're just like, want to make sure that where we spend 8 to 10 hours every day, we're happy there. Because, when you go home and you're stressed out, from work, that doesn't make a good home life either. And just having
Right.
this balance has definitely been our focus. Of course, we want to be able to pay our bills and pay employees, and give reward them with raises and stuff like that. So that's very important. But as far as like how big can we be, that's no longer my focus. And I don't even know if Beth was still on, because Beth was definitely the driving force in growing it. I think even she might be like, okay, we can slow it down a little bit. There's no need to grow it. And as you know, the cake business is changing quite
Right.
a bit. Used to be. So it's not like we're trying to be something that it's just, we are what we are. This is just what it is, and this is how we're going to handle things, and the way we handle consultations and order taking and stuff like that. Most people like it. There's a couple people that don't. Then they can go some. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think this was really, I think that a response to like what happened during the pandemic. We're just like, go, 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 go. And, you know,
It's
just what was your experience around that?
That was insane. 2021 was even worse. In fact, we lost a few employees because of the stress level of 2021. 2020 was just, I don't know if you guys were experiencing this. What helped us survive? Well, first of all, at the very beginning, I was just moving papers around. People were canceling or moving dates or, changing down size. So I just felt like the orders we already had, I was shuffling around, like putting them in different files, depending on, what the bride told me that week. And then there were a lot of people that obviously everything was curbside pickup, or we were even delivering like small cakes. We were taking whatever we could. But it was really just the three of us at that point, me, Fran, and Ashley, that were handling it that first month and a half until things
Because
opened
everybody
up.
was home, right?
Yeah, everybody else was home and they were getting, paid to be home essentially, where we had to keep the business, moving in some sort of direction and just navigating it. We were all winging it as we were, going along. So, yeah, 2020, a lot of people, because they couldn't have the big parties. This is what I was starting to say earlier. I don't know if you experienced this as well. Since they couldn't have the big parties, they were going to spend a lot of money on the cake just for the four members of the family, and there were people that were getting some pretty outrageous cakes just for like, under 10 people.
Right.
So thank God for that. And thank God that's what we did. That's what our specialty was. And they were like, if we're going to spend money, we're going to spend it at a place that has high quality. So
right.
thank God, that's kind of how we got through 2008 too. It's just people like they're very conscious about their money. And if they're going to spend it, they're going to make it worth their while. So that helps through 2020. And then 2021 is when people are trying to hurry up and just get their events taken care of and weddings and stuff like that. And it was the last minuteness of everything that I think had us all just so stressed out. 2022, there was still a little bit of that, I think. And now the wedding industry is kind of like trying to regain itself. The dust has settled. People are having smaller weddings. This definitely, whatever we're in, recession-ishness, is affecting how people are spending money and the size of their weddings. So we're definitely feeling that too. But we're, I've got my trailing 12 right here. It's like, no, there's still a gap. Lines are not crossing. We still have a profit. Nothing like we had in years past. But what we're saying is we're surviving, not thriving at this point in 2023.
So how are you managing that whole thing? Are you making sure, like consolidating staff, or are you like reducing your SKUs, or?
Yeah, I mean, right now we are taking a deep breath is what it feels like. We're just like, okay, what was that? What just happened? Let's, reassess things. We were, as you know, the ingredients, cost of ingredients was insane.
Thanks.
We were also trying to keep up with the minimum wage rising. We had good people and we needed to hang on to them, but we also needed to hire people. So, we had to hire people at a much higher rate than we had before, which means we had to shift everybody else up, accordingly. So we're still feeling that. We were also incredibly shorthanded. We had a decorator that was a baker for most of all of last year. Now we have two young, enthusiastic, like they're 22. They're like really young, but they are fantastic and they love baking. It's wonderful. We just hired another decorator. We are at full staff right now. We are finally to the point where we're not like stressing out because there's not enough staff. However, I am a little concerned about payroll, moving forward. And we are, keeping eyes at making sure people aren't stretching the hours now that,
Right.
Someone's there to pick up the slack, are they working to the time allotted and stuff like that. But we're also in weddings and graduation season. So everything is keeping up pretty quickly. But again, cost of ingredients like butter, thank God, has dropped considerably.
Mhm.
Flour, we thought was going to be an issue, but so far it seems like it's going to be okay. Cocoa looks like that's going to go up, but we'll cross that bridge. Eggs have come back down too.
Right.
Yeah, that was crazy. So packaging, packaging.
Still,
Yeah.
still a pain.
Philippine. Yeah. There's nothing we can do about that. And whatever. Um, yeah. So it's like I said, now we're reassessing. Now we're just like, okay, where do we want to go? How do we want to grow it or maintain? Basically,
Right.
I'm happy maintaining. I don't necessarily need to grow it, but we just have to we've shifted a lot of the way we have done our marketing. We stopped doing bridal shows. We're concentrating more on like wedding wire and the knot and stuff like that. Um, we haven't done any we haven't gone to any trade shows. We missed that one that you were at. I was planning on going, and it just, two of the main decorators had weddings to go to, and us leaving was going to be a nightmare. So we didn't make it to that one. There is a networking RPIA in Pittsburgh that we're still like, should we go? Shouldn't we? It's like, it is good to see how other people are doing,
Right.
yes. I don't want to be, nope, this is the way we're doing it and it's the right way, because that's the only thing that we see. I do need, to talk to other people and say, hey, what's working for you?
Do you think, Becky, that like our age of like going through the pandemic, going through menopause, like body changing, I just feel like my patience is just a little bit like, you know, I could just do without that complexity right now. Like, it's like I don't need to go there. It's just
Right. Exactly. I think that's how much of myself do I want to give on a stress level, um, for the next 5 to 10 years. Because I really think that's all I have left in me, honestly, is,
right.
five. Um, however, this is all I've done my whole life.
Right.
What else to do, when this is all over?
Well, you have kids. Are any of them interested
Oh no,
in business? No?
no, 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 no. No, Ashley, who just celebrated her in the 70th anniversary, she would be the one in my dreams that I would be able to hand the business off to. But she's in her mid-30s. She doesn't have any kids yet. That's still like so I'm kind of like waiting to see what happens with her and everybody else. And who knows with these new young kids? I mean, they're like, I want to have a bakery someday. It's like,
Right.
do you?
Yeah. I mean, if you're positioning yourself to sell, I think there's like certain decision makings that you can make now in order to sell the business. I mean, it's good to plan it out this far though, 5, 10 years. Yeah, this is
Mhm.
how I'm gonna exit. I think that's great because a lot of business people or people who are in the business never plan out their exit.
No. And that is definitely something that I have learned through all these different avenues that Beth has gone down.
Which
And
Beth now has gone through consulting. She's become a
yeah,
consultant. Okay.
yeah, so she sees a lot. She sees a lot of different businesses and the way they're run, and stuff like that, and does contributes, insight, when asked, of course. But she pretty much is just like, you guys got this, I'll be back here if you need me, but we haven't really needed her just yet because we were given so many tools. And like I said, the processes um, were already in place that as long as we just like keep that going, we're good. The main thing is the money part, the expenses, which were, we raised our prices at the beginning of last year, thank God, 12%. But we still need to do more. I don't know about the baseline if we're going to raise that, but I think
Right.
all the, like the fresh fruit or the hand molded stuff and
Yeah.
other things that we're just going to keep increasing the cost on. You
Right.
know, they don't have to have it.
If
If they,
you listen to my past podcast, there's a couple of bakeries that have just stopped doing custom cakes just because of the complexity of it and just the PIA factor of it all. Um,
mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts on that? Are you going to continue on with the custom?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've figured out a good um process as far as, taking orders and, we can see what we can handle. Um, we have a staff that is very well versed in all mediums. So that helps tremendously too. But we're creative cakes.
Yeah, you're right.
We can't
We're
not.
creative cakes, but we'll only do naked cakes.
Oh, if we could do naked cakes and hoe row all day long, then our profit margin.
Horo is horizontal rough ice, everybody.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, sorry.
hori.
Yeah. I think Bronwyn was the first one who was like, oh, I could do hoe row all day. I'm like, yep, we all can. And I think even Minette Rushing, she was just like, my dishwasher can do hoe row.
She can do it with drinking coffee, looking left over her shoulder. That's what she said. And I witnessed it. She's really pretty quick and amazing.
Yeah, she is. We are very fortunate with the people that we know in this industry, and that's one of the threads or boards that we're on. I don't know if you're on so much because I think we've talked about this before. I don't know that you're part of this group, but there was
Is
a
this
lot
RPIA?
Yes.
Oh, I just rejoined.
Oh, okay, yay! All right, well then come to Pittsburgh.
Yes. I have a big show. I have a big food show. If I can come back earlier, then I might be able to go.
Okay. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So that is one of the things that really wants me to go to this thing in Pittsburgh is to talk to more people about, the whole custom cake business, because I really think that because of the pandemic, forced us to do this, and we were already pretty tech savvy. I think the way we're doing things is just the way of the future. It's just millennials now, they don't want to be bothered with coming in and talking to you face to face. They don't. They
all the Zoom meetings and all that.
Yeah, texting, email, all that stuff. They're more comfortable with that. The 60 and older crowd, the moms, they
give me your paper.
Once they experience it, but they usually, they need somebody to hold their hand and say, okay, tell me, help think for me,
Right.
I mean, come on, even before the pandemic happened, how many of our customers would walk in and just like take their phone and go, okay, can you do this?
Oh, absolutely.
We just, tell us how many people you need to serve. When do you need it? What flavor cake do you want? Send us, you can attach up to 3 pictures, just fill out this form and we'll get back to you. And we'll get back to you in the order, we prioritize by the order they were received, but obviously if it's for the current week, we have to, talk to them first. But and it's just for our sanity, then we're not interrupting the decorator in the middle of like a big project. Like somebody just walked in the door. How much is this? And with all of our processes and, the redundancy of some, specific types of styles and stuff like that, there's really no need to bother a decorator. But when it's really like something that we haven't done much or, we don't know if it's possible for us to do, I mean, we're all learning. I still ask questions, right? I mean, it's evolving every day. What people with, we're just like, oh, well, let's see, maybe we can do that. We have yet to say, no, we absolutely cannot do that for you. Go someplace else. Because we're the
awesome. That's the can do, because that's the name, like creative cakes. Like we're going to create for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Becky, as we wrap up our interview, I'm curious to know if you were to talk to your younger self, what kind of advice would you give her? And like what kind of learnings?
I wish I never completed college. I wish I would have completed college and some sort of business school. However, I didn't know I was, working on college when I happened to walk through the doors of Creative Cakes and they hired me on the spot. So that just kind of shifted in that way. But go to school. I mean, that's the one thing that if I would go to school for sure. So, which is why it's been, very important, making sure our children understand how important education is and
Right.
completing studies, as bumpy of a ride as it's been for them. They're doing fantastic, and that's why I don't want them to have the bakery, because they're doing what they want to do, and they're studying what they want to study, and that's important to me. And I just wish I had a little bit more, business knowledge. I'm a really good people person. I'm an awesome salesperson, but sometimes the whole number stuff is like, and it's a lot for creative people. That happens to a
Oh,
lot.
absolutely. Different parts of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I so appreciate that. I mean, that's I completely relate to
Mm-hmm.
running a creative business and growing it and seeing, oh my God, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, because it's
I know.
and then finding your groove, and it is a bit of an adventure. So
Mhm.
we're in it together.
Yep. Yep.
Well, thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I look forward to watching all these other podcasts now that I know who's been on there, and
Yes.
enjoy here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I will definitely just, take in all of what you had said and bring it back to my team.
Yeah.
I
We're
learned a
all,
lot.
yeah. I mean, see us in a year, see what we're saying then, everything changes.
Absolutely.
Happy-
Absolutely. Thank you. So we've been talking to my friend Becky Palermo of Creative Cakes. Um, and we are so glad that she was able to share her knowledge with us and experience with us. Becky, thank you. And I hope to see you in Pittsburgh.
Okay,
All
same.
right.
All right, thanks again.
Thanks for listening to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.